Hello everyone, and thank you very much for watching. This is me, Mr. P, and this is another episode in a Proxmox Home Server series. After spending weeks and weeks of thinking about it and persuasion from my friends, I finally gave in and I purchased the Steam Deck. This is a 64GB Steam Deck and I already have a 512GB micro SD card. So 500 plus gigabytes of storage is plenty for me to store all the games that I want to play on a go. Between ordering this Steam Deck and it's arriving to my door, it was about 9 to 10 days. So I spent those days thinking about it, what I'm gonna do with the Steam Deck before besides gaming. Obviously there is a desktop UI. I might be able to start using this as my main computer. What if I'm gonna take my virtualized Truenas, create a Samba inside the virtual Truenas, and then use that Samba to store all my games? Eventually that 512GB micro SD card will run out, and instead of buying the new one or buying additional one, what if I'm just gonna use my Truenas with the terabytes and terabytes of storage and store all the games there? And then if I wanna play a game, I connect this to my home network, and using a 1 gigabit network, I can download or move that game from Samba into internal storage and play until I finish the game or just give up. I'm trying to complete the level or kill the boss. I just can move back to a Samba, or even while I'm at home and connecting using a LAN cable, play the game while it's still stored inside the Samba. So in this video, I will show you how to create that Samba inside the Truenas, how you can mount that Samba to a Steam Deck, what things you need to install and what you need to set up to that to function. And at the end of the tutorial, I will explain to you why I'm not recommending to do that. What you see in front of you is the SteamOS desktop environment. I installed a couple of things just before recording this video. Number one is OBS to do a screen recording, and I changed Firefox to use a Chrome because I connected to my Google account, so I have all the links and everything to my server synced to this Chrome instant. Number one thing you need to do, if you haven't done that already, is to make sure that you know your user password. By default, SteamOS comes with a user deck. If you don't know the password for that, you can quickly and easily change that using settings. So if I'm going to click on the settings and click on the users here on the left hand side below personalization, here you go, Steam Deck user selected. Just click on a change the password and create a new password for that user, because you will need that password to jump from the normal user into a super user. Once you've done that, let's open the console. Just type console or terminal inside the search and run the console. I'm gonna make this a bit bigger. Here we go. So by default, SteamOS has read-only flags added to some of the folders. And these folders, you will have to change the content of these folders if you want to make the Samba connection work inside the SteamOS. To disable read-only, you need to type under root. So first of all, let's change this from deck user to super user. This is the password right now I'm entering that you can change inside the settings. As you can see right now, I changed to the root user. And now you need to type SteamOS-read only and then type disable. Press enter. As you can see right now, it gives me a message saying nothing is performed because I already disabled that. You will get a message saying that the read only has been successfully disabled. Next thing is you need to update all the packages inside this Linux, Arch Linux environment. To do that, you need to type pacman space dash capital S, lowercase y and lowercase u, and press enter. And right now it's going to download all the reported updates from repositories and do an update. At the moment I get nothing because I already updated that just before recording this video. Once you get all the packages updated, there is one program that you need to install, which is called cifs-utils. To do that, you type pacman space dash capital S and then write cifs-utils, utils, like that, and press enter. As you can see, the message shows up saying warning, and this has already been installed, so I'm just going to click no on here. In your case, you will click yes, and it's going to install these packages. During installation, you might see quite a lot of warnings showing up. You can ignore those. This is they will not in any way will stop using the cifs-utils and Samba. So once that all updated installed and you got the cifs-utils installed, right now we can go inside our Truenas virtual machine inside the Proxmox and start setting up our share. So I'm logged in inside my Truenas virtual machine. So right now I'm going to click on the datasets. Below a tank, I will open the data, then Proxmox, then PV drive. I already created the Steam dataset. If you want to create a Steam dataset below this folder, whatever folder, you click one folder above it. Click on the blue button which says add dataset and give the name of the dataset that already doesn't exist. So let's say you can call it Steam like I did, or Steam lib for library. Make sure that the last option is changed to SMB. Don't leave it generic. Make sure it's changed to SMB. This will allow to create a share to this dataset. Once you click save, the pop-up show up to asking you to update ACL permissions. Make sure that you select the correct user. In my case, the user is Dex. If you followed my video about setting up Truenas on the Proxmox, I explained why you need a user. So for example, in my case, like I said, is Dex. So I have a user by the username dex is username user ID number is 1000 and user group ID is 1000, and I'm using this user to connect to all the Samba shares that I'm creating inside this Truenas virtual machine. Once data set is created and iSCSI permissions updated, you click on a share and then click under Windows SMB shares, click add, and select that data set that you just created. So I'm just going to drill down in the folders until I find the Samba, until I find the Steam. I click on the Steam and then I click save. I can't click save because I already have a Steam shared, as you can see here. So it means that this data set by the name of Steam can be accessed via Samba connection. To verify that the Samba is working, you can open a Dolphin file browser inside the SteamOS. It's going to ask me for the keyring. Okay, I'm going to click on a network, shared folder SMB. And one of them should say Truenas for me. So let's write Truenas. Okay, this is not the one. I'm logging to my main one. It's going to be Dexmox. Let's wait. So it's going to be Truenas Dexmox. This is the one I'm using for these videos. As you can see, it's automatically pre-filled Dex and user password Dex because I checked remember my password. And here's a folder that I shared. Obviously, I can navigate to this folder via a different path like this, drives, Steam. But because I selected from generic to SMB, it can be accessed directly. So this is the folder that we need to, that's going to be used. Right now you see some of the folders showing up here because this has already been used for the Steam library. I just have one game in here. I won't delete any files, but in your case, this data set will be empty. So we verified that this share from a Truenas is working. I can access that via file browser, Dolphin file browser. Right now we need to make a change to fstab file to make all this work. To amend fstab file, you need to type nano space /etc/fstab and make sure you're doing that under user root, sorry. And here's the line that I already added just before recording this video because I don't want to type all that again. I'm going to make text a bit smaller to fit all on the screen. So the way that this is work is quite simple once you understand all these commands. First part, before I'm going to take actually hashtag. So this part here represents the source from where the Samba share is coming from. So in my case, this is a local IP address of my Truenas virtual machine. This is the one that's here at the top, ending with 24, and the name of the share is called Steam. So this is why it says /Steam at the end. Then you write space and then you point to the location where the folder needs to be mounted. By default, Steam Deck stores all the libraries inside a folder called Media. So I'm going to point this, that is going to go inside the Run, Media, and then Steam SMB. You will need to create this folder once you update this fstab, and I'll show you how to do that. Then after that, you leave space and type cifs for cifs. This is why we install cifs-utils to make sure that this connection will work. Then we're instructing fstab that we're going to use a username and a password to make a connection. In my case, it's going to be dex and dex, and user credentials will be stored in this location, which is etc/samba/steam.crt. You can put the file name whatever you want. You can leave it as a Steam. I like to put .crt, which stands for credentials. In the future, if I need to quickly debug something, I will know that this file represents the credentials inside. Then you put the comma, and then IO char set equals UTF-8. This is how the letters and numbers will be coded and hashtagged in between this connection. Then comma no perm. That means that no permissions will be changed on the source or destination during this connection. That means that honor the permissions, what are they inside the Samba share. And like I said, while I was showing you the user inside the Truenas, that the user dex, your UID is 1000 and user group ID is 1000, which is very important in a second, or will be very important in a second. Then comma x-systemd.automount. That means that the Samba needs to be auto-mounted as soon as the systemd starts. If you will leave that, if you delete this from here, sometimes Samba will automatically mount, sometimes doesn't. And if it doesn't, you will have to SSH into a Steam Deck to actually make this mount work. And then 00 means that automatically try to remount, and then it's valid for 30 days, auto mount again. And make sure that you leave spaces and commas as you can see here on the screen, because if you miss at least one comma, like for example, if I'm going to delete this comma from here, mount will not happen because the system will think that all this is one single instruction. So make sure that you have commas in the right place. So I'm going to put the comma here. So what we need to do now is we need to create this folder, and we need to create this file with the credentials. So everything is okay. I'm going to press Ctrl X to exit, Y to save, and Enter to confirm. So next thing, let's create the credential file for username and a password. To do that, under root, you need to type nano space /etc /samba/ and then whatever file name you want to do, where you want to give. I'm going to type steam.crt and it will open already existed file. In your case, this will be blank. You need to type these 2 lines exactly like you see on the screen. Username equals and whatever username you create inside the Truenas to access Samba shares, and the password for that user. So username equals dex and the password equals dex. And the same here again, Ctrl X to close, Y to save, Enter to confirm. Next thing, we need to create the folder where the Samba share will be mounted. Like I said, by default, SteamOS stores all the libraries inside the folder, which is inside the folder called media under run. We're gonna navigate there now. So cd /run/media. And if I'm gonna list content of this folder, as you can see, there is one called mmcblk0p1. Yeah, this is actually my micro SD card. The 512 gigabyte micro SD card. This is the folder where the micro SD card live, and this is the folder that I already created previously. Obviously, in your case, you're only gonna see a micro SD card. To create a folder in here is quite simple. Just type mkdir, stands for make directory, and you can call whatever you want. I'm just gonna call it for now Steam. Folder is created under user root. So if I'm gonna write start Steam, as you can see, this is the UUID for owner of this folder is root, and ID is 0, and group ID is 0, and group name is root. Right now, if I'm gonna leave it like it is, I'm gonna mount this SMB into this folder. When I will try to do anything with this folder with the Steam OS, I will get the error of that the folder cannot be read, write, basically accessed. It's going to be locked permissions. To change the permissions to the user user deck, to use a deck, you need to write chown, but just to double check, if you type command ID space deck, it's going to tell you that this deck belongs, user ID is 1000, his group ID is 1000, he belongs to group 1000. So right now we're going to just go and type chown, capital R stands for do recursive, so go across all the folders and files inside it. So we're going to do this. We're going to type 1000, 1000 and give a name of the folder. So I'm going to press enter, and then right now I'm going to do a start of the same folder. Right now, as you can see, it's been changed to 1000. That means the deck, user, and SteamOS and actual program that runs the games will have access to this folder and will be able to read the files from that folder and read files to that folder. So the media folder has my SD card and the Steam SMB, which I created previously. The Steam folder that I just showed you, I deleted because I don't want to just keep it here, because otherwise I'll get confused tomorrow or day after. So right now, fstab is created. fstab is amended, credential files is created, and we have a destination of the folder where we want that to mount. To mount this Samba share straight away, you can type mount space -a. And if you will get no errors, that means it's all good. I'm getting the error, which basically means that, look, there is already something mounted. Do you want to restart? That means that I'm trying to mount the Samba share that has already been mounted, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to write systemctl daemon-reload. And once I do that, no error shows up. That means that if I'll navigate inside the Steam SMB folder, I will see the content. So that means that the content has been detected. So right now I can minimize this and open the Steam. My apologies, you don't need to run Steam. What you need to do once you get everything updated and actual mount is working, you need to actually restart the Steam Deck. So that's what I will do. I will stop the recording of a screen recording and I'll be back when my Steam Deck gets restarted. My Steam Deck got restarted and I got a warning message. This is just gonna pop up every time when you're inside the desktop UI and there is a Samba reconnected, because the Steam thinks that there is two folders inside the mounted share, my mounted Samba share, that are basically the same. This is, from what I gathered online, this is quite a known bug, and you just ignore that or close it. So right now Samba is mounted, and now let's open Steam. Inside the Steam, click on the top left hand corner where it says Steam, and then choose settings, select downloads, and then Steam library folders. Mine's automatically got added, but if you can see yours here, you click on a plus sign, and then navigate to the folder which one you want to mount. So I'm going to click on this. As you can see, there is already a game that I download into internal storage, and I move to the Samba that I can play. That's what we're going to try to do now. I think the game will load quite slow. This is one of the downsides of a Samba. Another thing, please note that my Steam Deck, if I can take this in a picture, right now is connected just via one cable, which is USB Type-C, which is connected to a Nextdock 360 wireless laptop. This is, by the way, amazing laptop, one of the best laptops that you can buy for your pretty much anything. Samsung DeX, USB-C laptop, anything. This is amazing. Keyboard, screen, trackpad, all in one package. Anyway, so there is a duck game installed. Let's try to find that game here somewhere. I'm not sure if it's going to actually be found. Here we go, found it. So this is right now going to run off my Samba. I'm going to click play. It's right now trying to launch the game. So while the game is launching, I'll start telling you the downside of using Samba or NFS or iSCSI network attached storages to use for this kind of thing. First thing, the game is loading off my Samba using a Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi here at home right now, Steam Deck is connected to a 5 GHz channel of my Wi-Fi, but it still is not fast. If I want to play something like this off the SMB, I need to use a wired connection. I need to connect the USB Type-C hub and then connect the wire. Then my Steam Deck gets all full 1 gigabit speed, and then loading is much faster. As you can see, the game crashed. It don't want to load, so I'm going to click again. So the problems about Samba, NFS, and iSCSI. I'm going to start with the easy one, the iSCSI one. I just could not get iSCSI to work. I'd already done a video how to use iSCSI drives on a diaper iOS or any other Linux distros, or how to use iSCSI inside the Windows, but I just can't get iSCSI to install or work properly inside the SteamOS. I think game just not gonna work anyway. So the iSCSI just can't get to work, so I can't say how it's performing. There is an article, there is a post inside the Reddit, which I will leave a link to description below for you to go and check it out if you are feeling brave enough to actually go and start setting up iSCSI. And you can follow the instructions. It's quite easy to follow. It's pretty much the instructions about iSCSI is almost, is besides couple of different things that you need to do on a SteamOS that what I did inside the diaper iOS in my video, but pretty much everything else is exactly the same. So if you're feeling lucky, you can go and try to set up iSCSI. NFS was between NFS and Samba. NFS was faster for me unloading the games, but brought more problems than actual Samba. One of the problems with NFS that I discovered, again, this is not, I don't think this is a wide, I don't think this is like everybody will get that issue, but I definitely had this on my Steam Deck. And basically that is that if I'm downloading the game into my internal storage or micro SD card, and then I'm moving that game to NFS, I can't move the game back from NFS into internal storage. So it's like a one-way ticket. I send the game to NFS storage and there is no way to take it back. With the Samba is different thing. I can move the game back and forward, and right now it looks like this one is crashed. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna go into Steam settings, downloads, and I'm gonna select this. I'm gonna say move it back to my internal storage and click move. So while this is happening, let's continue to talk about SMB. So SMB, I was able to move game back and forward. Maybe it's right now gonna crash. I tested with Skyrim and another game called Victor Ran. I moved the games back and forward about half a dozen times and they all worked, but right now it's probably not gonna work. And because the Samba NFS is not foolproof. It's not like bomb proof. It will happen. It will sometimes give you a bit of the problems when you're trying to run the game. But anyway, with the Samba, I was able to move the game to the Samba and back. This is one of the reasons that I wanted to test this out, is that yes, it is 64 gigabyte version Steam Deck, and yes, I already have a half a terabyte micro SD card inside. But what if there is some of the games that I want to download and then store it to inside the Samba share for future use, because my home broadband download speed is not the greatest. Like for example, Borderlands 3 took about 4.25 hours to download. So I don't want to wait 4 or 5 hours for the game to download that I want to play. I can download the game once, and once I'm done playing, I can move the game to a Samba share, and when I want the game to start playing the game again, I can move it back from a Samba share to my Steam Deck while my Steam Deck is connected with the wire to my home network. That means there's a 1 gigabit speed between the Samba share and the Steam Deck. Some of the games I was able to play quite well from a Samba network attached storage, like for example Victor Ran or Skyrim. Victor Ran on average was starting from cold to actual gameplay in about minute and 20 seconds, where the Skyrim was between minute and 55 seconds and a minute, somewhere around, which is not ideal because when you count that the Victor Ran starts in less than 40 seconds when it's stored inside the internal storage or micro SD card. So it's extra 10, 15, sometimes 20 seconds to wait. But when the game loads, it runs perfectly as long as my Steam Deck is connected via wire. If I try to play any game with the Wi-Fi connecting to a Samba, is basically a slideshow. It's not the gaming that you want to do. Like Victor ran, if I tried to play that game with a Wi-Fi and if somebody else was using a broadband in my house, my gameplay was 5-6 FPS in a Victor ran. But if I had everything connected via wire and 1 gigabit speed between my Steam Deck and actual Samba server, which is just behind there, it was 1 gigabit speed, so I was able to basically play Skyrim from the Samba share. It was like the game was on internal storage. Yes, the loading speed was extra 20 seconds or so to wait, but once it's loaded, everything was working great. Just before jumping in, probably the most deal breaker issue, the Samba or NFS or iSCSI that I discovered, well, iSCSI I wasn't able to install, but between Samba and NFS, the deal breaker problem, I want to just check. So all content has been moved successfully. So it tells me that a duck game has been moved. So if I'm going to exit that out, I probably will be able to start the duck game. Let's see if it's actually going to run. Right now it's running off my micro SD card, not the Samba. So the game is about to start probably. Okay, so game is starting. Here we go. So it's right now loading off my internal storage, not from a Samba, but probably I wasn't able to start this game because the Samba share that I used to move the game to the Samba share, which I disconnected before this video to show you how to reconnect and everything, I think it just had a little leppy and it stopped functioning. So obviously the game starts. I just need to right now exit this game. The deal breaker that was happening while I was testing SMB and NFS shares on this Steam Deck, it was that I wasn't able to download the game directly into the Samba share. So that's what we're gonna try. We'll delete this duck game from my Steam Deck, and I will go and find this game inside the store and I will try to install it directly into the SMB. So I'm going to click yes. I want to install it. Click on this. I'm going to pick the Steam SMB. That's the one. Click next. And let's wait to see what happens. Every game that I try to install it, I wasn't able to get that going. So maybe this is going to work right now. I don't really know. So let's see how it goes. It looks like it's going to work. Maybe it's going to crash in the next 5 seconds or so. But anyway, the problem that I was experiencing with certain games, looks like a duck game will probably work. But again, this is like 500 megabytes game, probably not even that. The games that I was trying to install directly into a Samba was like a Borderlands 2 or 3 or Witcher 3 or Skyrim, and quite a big, huge games which are 20, 30, 50, 100 gigabytes in size. While I was trying to download them, the SteamOS was telling me that, listen, we can't install directly into this folder, no chance. It was just basically shouting at me that it just can't install it. And the problem that I was experiencing, that, okay, let's say I will download the game, let's say Borderlands 3, which is 100 gigabytes in size. I will download this game into my micro SD card, and once it's downloaded, I will move to SMB share, and then I will play off it. Great, if obviously the game loads, because some of the games wasn't able to even load from SMB share. But basically, let's say there is a game, great, that's it. You downloaded the game Borderlands 3, you moved to SMB, you connected hardwire to the network, your Steam Deck gets 1 gigabit, 2.5 gigabit speed, you playing the game is like, that's it, no tomorrow, everything works fine. What if it happens, or what will happen in tomorrow, day after, that game will receive an update. So Steam Deck or SteamOS will detect that the game is pending for update, and you won't be able to move the game from SMB into a local storage. SteamOS will not install the update into SMB, so you need to have a game inside the network, inside the internal storage, but you can't move the game from SMB into internal storage because the game is pending for an update. So game cannot be moved because the update is pending, and update cannot be installed because game is inside SMB. So basically it's a locked circle. You can't escape from it. And that's it. Actually, hold on. This is taking too long. I mean, it is 500 megabytes or so game, and it's allocating space. It's taking too long. I think it's gonna crash in a second trying to install this directly into SMB. So back to this deal breaker thing. So you have a game and it works great for SMB. If as soon as the game lands inside the SMB, in 2 seconds after that or minute after that, when games is fully moved to SMB, if the game receives an update, this game becomes locked. You can't update it and you can't move it. So this is the big deal breaker that I noticed while I was testing this out, that once you move it, that's it, there is no way back. Only one way to get this game sorted and removed is going via SSH or via desktop environment, like I was showing here, via terminal, navigating to the Samba server, Samba share, and then deleting the folder that represents that game. Restart the Steam Deck, and when the Steam Deck restarts, it will detect that the game doesn't exist anymore, so it's gonna think like, okay, the game probably got uninstalled, and it's just gonna stop showing this game inside your library, and the Steam OS or Steam program will show you that you need to install the game as a fresh install. Installation of this game actually moving, but is very slow, maybe because it's a Wi-Fi, maybe someone is using the internet in my house, and this is why the Wi-Fi connection between my Steam Deck and my SMB is become slow, and even installing the 500 megabyte game takes longer than actually installing Borderlands 3, which is like 100 gigabytes. I think I'm gonna wait for this to happen. What I'll do in the next upcoming couple of days, I'm gonna keep trying all these sorts of things to see if any game will show always 100% good results, that they will not crash and etc. Maybe updates will be happening if the game is located in SMB. So make sure you check the pinned comment. I'll leave that updates for you, because this is gonna take forever for me to install 500 megabyte game into SMB server. Oh, by the way, about the corruptions, I forgot to tell about the corruptions. The corruption things that it happen, again, it could be a big deal break as well, is that let's say there is a game that works perfectly off SMB. You can play this game with no problems, the game receive updates. For example, let's say imagine game receive updates, everything works perfectly. When you're gaming with the Steam Deck, if the Steam Deck loses internet connection or connection to your home network for even a half a second, there is a chance that the file is gonna get corrupted. So this game becomes basically dead files. You can't use them because there is a corruption inside the files. And only one way to get that resolved is, like I mentioned, logging in via terminal into Steam Deck or going via desktop environment and deleting that folder completely from SMB, and then restarting a Steam Deck for it to detect that the game is gone and you need to reinstall it again. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will keep messing around with the Steam Deck and my home server. If you have any ideas what else you wanna see how you can include the Steam Deck inside your home network or home server stuff, or maybe run Docker inside it. That would be a great idea, to actually run Docker inside, maybe Pi-hole, run a Pi-hole inside the SteamOS. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.